everybody. So, slides? Yes, great. So yeah, my name is Elisabeth Engel. I'm very happy to be here with you. So the next 30 minutes we'll dive into D3 and yeah, short intro why I'm doing this. So 2 years ago I wrote my master thesis and I wanted to compare some visualizations to some cool data stuff. And I was searching for a framework and was like, okay, D3, that's great, let's do that, and let's run into a lot of problems, pitfalls, and so this is for you to get a short intro of what is this, how can I do this, what is it really about, and how to get started. So we'll do a bit of like what it is, and then we do a live coding together, so you can like experience like what it is. Great. So before I would like to do a little hand raising with you, like who has never like ever heard of D3? Maybe think it's a fashion label or something. Okay, I'll write it down so we already have some data there. Who has already heard about it but never got in touch? Oh wow, that's like 60. Who once used D3? Great. That's cool. Who uses D3 like regularly, like in that project? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And who ever contributed to the D3 library? Anyone? Oh yeah, one in the back. Great. I got you. And who of you heard that like version 4 came out last week? That's really cool. Yeah. Great. So maybe if you just look at the website of D3, you see something like this, and you're like, okay, that's another charting library, I got that. And then you hear like, oh, it has a like steep learning curve, it's hard to do, there are many pitfalls, it's like, can be a real pain. You're like, there are better choices for charting libraries. There are. So what D3 is really standing for is it's data-driven documents. So it's not just a charting library, and that's maybe also doing a lot of confusion there. So it's a framework. It's by Mike Bostock. He's a really great guy who's doing a lot of visualization stuff, examples, documentation, everything for that. It's open source, so everybody can contribute there. And the main idea is that you have documents and data, and you want to bind them like maybe you now know from Angular stuff that you bind data and you don't care about like every single DOM element anymore. So let's look at a just random hello world. So it looks a bit maybe familiar to jQuery. You have this like D3, you select something, so you have this ID of content, you append a headline, and you say this is the text. So not very fun. But if you would do it without D3, I mean, it's much longer, so you at least already saved something. But now here's like the real kick in. You put in data. So ignore the select all for a second and just look at this. I have some data here. I have 4 names. And every time there's an enter, like a new data coming in, I want the headline for this and we'll say hello. Really friendly. So if you look at this in a browser, you see, okay, hello. That's kind of nice. And if you look at the DOM, it really creates those elements for you. Kind of nice. You can at least debug and see what happened. So what I now tell you is more like about this data binding. So when I wrote my master thesis and did those visualizations, I didn't really know the background of this. So you can use D3 without knowing this, but knowing this might help you in some cases where like, what's happening here? So you have a document, you have those 4 names, they came in, and now you get new data. So what D3 is doing for you is calculating the sets. So it will automatically know, okay, Mike, Sam, and Nora are new nodes, I haven't seen them before, that's new data. Sarah and Mark, I know them, they have been there before. And Robert and Maria, sorry, they dropped out. So you can get those sets and say, like, define for every set what you want to do with this in the presentation. Okay, so here we have a little like animation example, how this can like help. So you have this data join, so you say select all text nodes. In the beginning, you don't have any. That's okay, that's just an empty set. And you bind the data. So now it knows, okay, I connect them to text nodes, and here is the data. Then you can say, okay, for all the nodes I already have here, they are gray. And for the new nodes, so this was what we also saw on the slide before, the enter thing. So every time new data is coming in, we want to append a new node and paint it green, like those names like Sam coming in, Robert Mark coming in. And then we can, now we have all those new nodes and the ones that have been there, and we can also give them some other attributes we want to have, whatever. And we can also say like the ones that are exiting, now they're red. So you already see in this example, like the cool thing about D3 is this transformation and animation thing. So if you just have like a bar chart and like that, maybe there are other charting libraries, it's easy, but like tweaking, I don't know, Google Charts to do any animation might be trickier, and to do interaction might be even worse. So this is the real benefit. So from this background, like summing up, you have this HTML, you have the JavaScript, the library, you can use CSS to style it, that's very nice and handy. And now we come to the real drawing part. And you can use SVG and Canvas. So for this example, I use SVG, but also you can go and draw on Canvas, especially if you want to be faster. So the support is growing for also the Canvas stuff, so the SVG was first. So SVG, maybe you already know, it's scalable vector graphics. You just look similar to HTML. You say like, here's a rectangle, circle, line, text, whatever. And especially also for the example later, we will need this group thing. So you can group things together and then you can transform them or whatever you want to do. But you can treat them together, so you don't have to like each time select any of those and then on each of those do something. So you should also, when you build a graph, always see like that every time you have a group, so you can get that again. So SVG would like just like look like this and render like that in a browser. It's in any browser support. And D3, you can also model this. And as you would see, this is even more code, so we'd never do that. But what you would do is using functions. So in any part, in any attribute, everywhere you can use a function. So you give it the data, and you can extract the data. You always get this data and the index. So you can calculate in that and get the data you want. And then it gets really handy. So let's go to the live demo and see this like in action. So what we want to do here is like what we did in the beginning. Like, I think there were about like 6, we didn't know it all. 60. This was 30. Oops, sorry, 8 here. And 1 here. So I'll scroll here, just you see I haven't cheated. So it's just a very, very normal HTML. We do it from scratch. We just have this chart data here, title value, and here we already have the SVG we select. It's just like a bit less typing here. So what I would like to do together with you is a little bar chart with a bit of interaction at the end, so you kind of get familiar with this. And this is live coding. Errors might happen. So here are 3 little code monkeys. So please, if you like spot an error, I miss any brackets or anything somewhere, you can just shout out and help me out, and these are for you then. You can grab them later. Okay, great. So let's start. So we have this SVG, and what we first do is this, what we saw before. We select all, and we select all groups, so we have already this nice getting together. We put in the chart data here and say, okay, enter. So we now care about the elements that are coming in as new elements. And then we can also first do a new group for them. So now we have for every of those 5 data entries, we would have 1 group. That's it. We can also let me take this as a variable. No. IntelliJ doesn't like it. Oh, it was a bit slow. Okay, so I'll try a live debugging here. Let's see if it works. Yeah. So, oh, this killed the live debugging. Interesting. So we can hear the SVG, and we have one node for all of this. Let's see if I... See if we can still see something there. Let's try this again. Oh, this is really... Oh, that's a bit tough. This feels like a coding dojo, limited space. You can do this. Okay, so we have this node. So now on the bar chart, we want to have bars, so rectangulars. So we say we want to append a rectangular for each of this, and give it some nice attributes here. So we say we start here. This width and height. We'll just see if the live reloading. Yeah, great. So already, but they are in the same place, so a bit bad there. So what do we do here? So we get here the data in the index we saw before, and we can now return the index, let's say, and multiply it by 20. Nope. Multiply it by 25. Oh, same error. So they're already like now shifting depending on their index. And if you sometimes or often it happens that you forget this return statement and you're like this, yeah, it's index 25, why does nothing happen? And yeah, that's a common pitfall. You're wondering for some minutes, so what's going on? Oh, okay. So we also give Elisabeth here. And so normally in all the examples, they shorten it to just D and I. So I'll do this here as well. It's a bit shorter. And then you can return the value at quite start of a bar chart. So, but of course, this is like nothing. We go far beyond that. And add a text node here. Tell it the text, which is also function. Oh, I think IntelliJ is also not used to this less space. And we return the title here. And if it's also an attribute, it should also be in the right place like before. Return, so now you also return the index and the same. Oh, already there, make a bit space for it. It's a bit, no. There's a bit space missing there. So like, oh, no, not. Yeah, now it's got it. So, like we're doing this live coding now, but if you're in any project, please never do this like magic number thing here. You will start with it, we try out, and then we have like 20 of those numbers somewhere. You have no idea which one was which one, if they depend on each other or not. So you have a 10 here, a 10 here, and a 10 there. You're like, do they have to be the same number? Like here, the 25, like this 25 here and that 25 have to be the same, of course. So please use constant. I just like for this demo I don't do it, but you should do it. And the other thing that you also see, like these bars are not very like, you have such a huge space, but depending on how many, it's just like pixels. So what we like to do there is like not do this d-value thing. So In the first place, when you're like, oh yeah, let's do this, you're like, okay, let's multiply it, say 60, this was too much, and you try out, and after some time, you're like, great, I'll commit this, and somebody else then puts in other data, and the data is much like greater, and then you get a bar chart looking like this, you're like, what happened here? So that's the nice thing of D3, so you have a lot of functionality here. So you can tell it to scale it just to the limits you want to have. And this is something that changed in version 4. So I haven't said anything about the new version. So with the new version, it became modular system. And Mike Bostock did a lot of improvements and trying to improve the API, so how you can use this, that is a bit more logical and not so much magic going on. So he also changed some function names. So it came out on, I think, Tuesday, he announced it. And I was like, yeah, let's update the examples. So it's brand new and already supporting version 4. And then I figured out I first thought there are not so many breaking changes, but I think it took me 2 hours just for the small examples in my presentation to get them right again. So if someone is telling you version 4 doesn't do major and breaking your code, it's wrong. So we say the range, so actually 360, so we have 500 and we spent 140 for the text. So that's the domain, and then close it here. Nope. Something like this. Nope. Sorry? Oh yeah, thank you. Like this? Who was it? This one is for you. We drew a top 3 at the end of help, so okay, getting lost here. Great, so you already see this is getting pretty long, so we can also just take this and say just xscale and introduce a new variable to make it a bit easier and reusable, so especially this one we'll use again. Okay. Oh yeah, so it was 500. Wait, no. Whoa, what's that? Where is it? Oh yeah, here. So it was 500, and we spent 140 here. So this is also what I said about magic number things. You should put this in a variable and say okay, that's the total space I have, and I spend this one already for the text.
I expected methods that return the maximum width and for the so.
Oh yeah, that's also possible. Yeah, so what you also can do here is doing something like this and give it the data, so it will then tell you the max. So also this 100 is kind of a magic thing here. You're right, yeah, completely. Great. So we have the bars, we have the chart, but we still don't know is this 50, 500, something. So we would like to do, we would like to append some axes there. So what we do therefore is a new thing just for the bars, so we can paint the axis down there. So we append a group there and change this. And then we can use the bar chart. So in fact, you will spend a lot of time figuring out how to group the things and where to put in the variable to then reuse it. Because the problem is every time you do the append, you're then in that element. So if I would go on from here and append another thing, it would be inside the rect tag. So you're going in and in. So you have to save the point before to do this. Okay, so we then another group. And this is a nice thing, this call, so we can now, this is also new in version 4 to do this access button so easily. So before it was a bit more code to do. And now we can also use the same scale we had before. See this? And we just like transform this a bit. So this is a kind of like what the SVG is offering you, that you do this transformation and do a translate. So I'm not sure if you're like familiar with also like geometric, how you can configure stuff in space. So you can like do this with state, translate, all that stuff. So this is also again a magic number. And you've changed the length by 25. It's making some sense. Oh, okay. So we finished our bar chart there, so we could also like stop here, but I don't have the time. Is there somewhere here? No. How much is? Oh wait, how much time is left?
6 minutes.
Okay, good. I'll do that. So just to show what's like now like really kicking in. So this chart you could have done with like Google Charts, much easier, maybe more beautiful. But what's now coming in that you can react on things. So you can say like every time someone clicks here, we can do like an alert, like just to show what is going on. So normally you don't do an alert. You, just to show like you can react on things. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, so you can, on any like clicking, mouse over, hovering, you can rescale and do things and also do transitions. So now I think we spent like a bit more than 10 minutes on this and we got a bar chart. If you extend this and maybe spend 2-3 more hours there, you could also use the same data to do a bar chart. And you can also add functionality like if I click here, I would like to have a nice sorting. Or if you have like here, you have a hovering, so it will tell you the number of some bars, things like that. So if we look into the code of that, let's see this. Yeah, final. So this is the same, but like just put in some 2 or 3 hours of extending it. You have this mouse over, so you can say here, this is like the tooltip we saw, just appending here a title to it, to the rectangular. And here's the sorting, so you tell it to sort for you. So this is all the 3 functionality you can use. So we saw this like select things that are like manipulating the DOM, but you can also just use the library functions like please sort my data, please do this. So especially if you work together with Angular or React, this is very handy. So you leave away the DOM stuff, leave this to the other JavaScript framework, and just do the sorting or what you ever need, or calculation of angles, maybe of the pie chart. So here you see the transition, the duration, so you can like easily do this moving without calculating stuff on your own. So here's the pie chart. You can also, this is very nice, so what we saw before, the scale linear. You can also hand in colors for the range. So it will automatically take as many as it needs in this range, in the domain you give him, and calculate colors for you. So here you see the blue shade, so you go from yellow, from light blue to dark blue, and we'll pick colors for you. That's very, very helpful there. Great. I think I was it here. Let's go back to the slides. Okay, so now what you can do, or a bit more about, oh no, that's not real full screen. Okay, let's go like this. So what you can do there is see to import your data. So you have this like basic stuff, but you can also just call the server for your new data. And every time new data comes in, you call the function, and then D3 will take care of the data and rerun what we saw before. Especially if there are like millions of elements or thousands, if you have like special graphs, like what we see here, like you have like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 data points. It's very handy if you don't like repaint everything, but just see what's new. So what else? So there are a lot of functionality, especially my boss, the inventor, put in a lot of effort to give examples and to offer a great variety of stuff. And also hence these examples. And summing up, it's very nice that it's on web standards, that you're not like just processing an image and show this, that you can have really this interaction and have all the functionality of web standards. You're totally flexible. You can go in every line and everything you want to do. You can see, like we saw in the DOM, like if this node really like rendering correctly. You have many examples, and especially you have other charting libraries built on that, so you can just go on that and have the advantage that if you want to change it, you know D3, you can change it. It's not like Google Charts where you're fixed to that. So if they don't offer the functionality, you're fixed there. But yeah, you can have a lot of code. You have to be really careful to give it a structure because it doesn't come with so much structure. It will easily end up as spaghetti code that maybe you don't want to touch so often. And yeah, we just want a standard chart. That's much too heavy. Here's some reference. So as you can see above, the slides are online. You can just check them out. There's also like a free book. You can like go into much more detail. And yeah, I'm working for Comsisto. They sponsored the time for this talk, and they are hiring, of course, in Munich and Berlin. And there's a design thinking training. I'm not sure if anybody you know this methodology, so I'm a very big fan of that. And yeah, thanks for your attention.